Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are doing part 3 of our budget Changeling series. Now we're looking at kind of support effects for Changeling and more Changeling effects that may be useful in many decks. So a lot of these are probably more unique to Changelings, but we'll see, yeah. For a budget, again, I say this every video, but just to make sure, it's $2 and under is what I mean by budget, not like $10 budget, because that's expensive. Yeah. Again, Changelings are creatures that have all creature types, usually. I pointed out in the last video, some of them don't actually, which to me is like, okay, then you're not a Changeling, but alright, sure. Anyway, in this one we are looking at support effects and spells that are Changeling oriented. Wings of Velis Vel. Alright, so this is 1 in a blue for 15 cents. Very, very cheap. This makes it a target creature becomes 4/4, gains all creature types and gains flying. Okay, so you basically make any creature, and it does not have to be your creature. It can, if one opponent is attacking another opponent, you might as well make one of their creatures into a 4/4, right? Just getting extra damage in is the idea, right? So it can be used if something's unblocked. You can use it to increase damage. If you don't want something to get blocked, you can add evasion. And you don't have to use this on your own creature even. You can use this as a combat trick during someone else's turn when they're attacking. Kind of a political thing as well, like you might be able to swing that, but anyway. A lot more flexible than I think people give it credit for at first glance. Birthing Boughs. 3 colorless. So again, colorless, this can go in any deck. So that's one main advantage right there. And you pay 4 and tap it to create a 2/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. Again, this is going to keep making Changelings. That's going to set off whatever ETB you have for creature types. So you can just do that over and over and over and over. Every turn you get an extra one. It is 4, which is kind of steep, but still, it can easily be worthwhile. I have this in my ally tribal deck, and yeah, like it gets a lot done. Especially like allies, they can have effects like all of your ally creatures get indestructible until end of turn. And this you can set off on someone else's turn. So if you have 4 mana held up, someone uses a board wipe, you make all your creatures indestructible just by making a 2/2 shapeshifter. Well, all your allies indestructible and Changelings, which are allies. But anyway, yeah. So this is very useful as well, I think. This can kind of come out of nowhere and surprise people. 30 cents only. Bears of Lit Jara. We had Lit Jara in the last video as well. I always feel like it should have a vowel between the T and the J. I want to say Litte Jara. Litte is German for like annoyed, I think. Something like that. Anyway, I'm not quite right on that, but yeah, close to it. Tolerating. If you're like tolerating someone, yeah. Litte. Anyway, yeah. Alright. So this is a saga for 1, a green, and a blue. Okay, so it is Simic, which makes it obviously more limited, but Simic is very strong as well. 7 cents only, so that's great. And this is kind of like a Changeling typal one. So if you're planning to use a lot of Changelings in a deck, this can be very good. First one, it creates a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. So first thing it does is it makes another token Changeling. If you want those ETBs, there's another one right there, right? Any number of target shapeshifter creatures you control have base power 4 power and toughness. Sorry, 4/4. So all of your changelings become 4/4 creatures on the second one, and choose up to one target creature or planeswalker. Each creature with power 4 or greater you control deals damage equal to its power to that permanent. Again, you're basically just doing a whole bunch of damage to one thing on the board, and it can be a creature or a planeswalker. You're most likely, unless you don't have like any creatures that have power 4 or greater, you're probably just, you've got removal here. This is like creature removal in Simic for 3. That's actually very good. But anyway, it does take to the third one. That's the downside right there. But anyway, well worth 7 cents, I think. Crib Swap. This is our art from the background. I think it's very weird, but okay. Really actually going into like, what changelings were originally considered. Humans that were like stolen and then this like Fae baby was put in instead. But yeah. Exile target creature. Its controller puts a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter token on with changeling onto the battlefield. Okay, 22 cents. This costs 3. I think there's a lot of very similar cards, but this is nice. First of all, it has exile, so exile is always great. And yeah, its controller gets a 1/1 colorless creature token. So once again, you could use this on your own thing, right? If you want to set off ETBs for creatures entering, target a token creature of your own, and you're basically changing the token creature from 1 to this instead, and you still get the ETBs. I think this can be very broadly useful, and yeah, a lot more flexible than people give it credit as well. Anyway, as I said, 22 cents. Alright, our last card here. Nameless Inversion. Okay, I understand why people don't like this card as much, but I think it's actually a lot better than you might. Again, a lot of these I look at and see a lot of flexibility, and this is definitely like the most flexible card out of this whole list. Okay, target creature gets +3/-3 and loses all creature types until end of turn. +3/-3. Okay, so for 1 and a black, you can increase the damage by 3 as long as its toughness is 4 or greater, or you can use it as a kill spell against any of your enemies or your opponent's stuff. A lot of the kind of high functionality things I would point out are 3 or lower toughness. There's not a lot of things where the card has a lot of kind of function in the game, and its toughness is also really, really high, right? Usually, if it's a kind of a troublemaker card or troublemaker creature card, it'll have lower toughness. So this will probably kill them, and also loses all creature types. Okay, so if someone is using what I always use is the ally typal deck. They can get a lot of bonuses for being elves, and you can take all their bonuses away. Just like that, right? Even if they survive, they are no longer an elf, and probably all these other bonuses that were going into the creature, it loses right away. So this is kind of a counter strategy, but yeah, for 16 cents, I think very worth it. Very, very flexible as well. You're never going to have a game where you're like, oh, I have nothing to do with Nameless Inversion for the whole game. It's 2 mana. You're going to cast it. It's an instant for 2. It'll get used. All right, the list. First, Wings of Velas Vale, 15 cents. Birthing Boughs, 30 cents. The Bears of Lit Jara, 7 cents. Crib Swap, 22 cents. Nameless Inversion, 16 cents. Again, nameless inversion, I would put this in a lot of black decks. I think if you have access to black, it's worth having for like the counter strategy and a kill spell and extra damage and right? You can just get so much use out of that. I would be shocked if someone had that in their like opening hand at the beginning of the game and by the end of the game it was still there. It's just too useful, it's too easy to use, it's too, you know, you're always going to be happy to see it, I think. Anyway, have a nice day. Oh, please hit like and subscribe. I keep meaning to say that early in the video, but okay. Take it easy.